struggling myself, don't mean a whole lot.
Anytime, Carol. We can fade it out. I hate to fade it out. It's a 5-minute tune, though, you know. But it's Sweet Honey in the Rock. I've seen them twice in the Triangle. They're amazing live if you ever get a chance. Beautiful, beautiful older black women just doing this gorgeous mix of all different kinds of styles of music. African, percussion, gospel, you know, a cappella, soul, funk. It's just amazing. Highly recommend them. I don't need to clutch for power, Carol.
Don't do it.
In fact, you give me the power, I'm going to be like, yeah, let me just pass this on to somebody else and I'll just be a support person in the back. I swear to God, it's the problem of my life. You know, Carol, if I was a megalomaniac, as opposed to just a slight megalomaniac, who really cared about like controlling other people, God, I would be dangerous. But instead, I'm like, you know what? I have enough on my plate just getting up out of bed in the morning. And this is what people like Art Pope depend on. People like me and you, Carol, and you not getting off our asses to really make our visions happen, you know? Oh, well, not that I would want to control people, but, you know, you just kind of shove them in the right direction every once in a while. So I have a question, and this has nothing to do with Art Pope, nothing to do with the Gaza Strip and Israel's incredibly morally repulsive, and I say this as an American Jew, Israel's incredibly morally repulsive response to the Gazan rockets, which is, let's slaughter indiscriminately women and children, or just children. Because, Carol, feminism means women get to be killed too, right? She's laughing, but she's like, well, I'm like, no, women get to get killed too. It's only the children that matter anymore, Carol, with your feminism. So anyway, we'll get to all that later. And Raleigh's new, you know, these idiots who want to like legislate the amount of signage that can cover your windows in Raleigh, right? It's like, what was the problem this was meant to address, Carol? Thomas Crowder actually says that the cops need to look into your store. Well, the store where I work, I'm not speaking there for it. I'm not the owner, but as a worker, I can speak to my own experience. We sell books and CDs and records and stuff, and there's like blocked, we have, what do you call those? Not blinds. Yeah, they're blinds. Bamboo blinds blocking the sunlight on all of our windows. So Thomas Crowder, City Council member Thomas Crowder, can sit there and say, well, the cops need to look into your store. No more than 30% or 50%, whatever they decide, can be covered with posters and stuff, or ads and stuff. And I'm like, up yours, Tom. I almost did the real thing, Carol. Up yours, Thomas Crowder. What are you going to do? Tell us we can't have like bamboo blinds blocking the sun so it doesn't fade our merchandise anymore? So the cops can look in? That's the most... No, they're not going to do that, Carol. It's all about aesthetics. So they don't want windows covered with big ads and posters and stuff. And I'm like, up yours again, Thomas Crowder and anyone who'd vote for this crap. Put up number 10, Carol.
You were supposed to do the baby thing.
Oh, I'm going to do the baby thing in a second, but let's put up number 10 first. Has anybody had baby signing actually work? I just want to know. But let's put up number 10 first. Yeah, it's a ridiculous law. It's a ridiculous restriction. Completely ridiculous. Our windows are covered with posters for events happening. Drag Bingo is happening this Saturday at the Care Scott building at the fairgrounds. It's benefiting local animal shelters and local AIDS groups that provide meals to people living with AIDS who are poor and can't afford it. And if all you black people are thinking that it's just white people with AIDS, I'm just saying, there's this mindset in the black community. A lot of conservative black people don't think that gayness and AIDS is in their community. Maybe I'm being unfair, but that's a white person's disease, right? You know, and everybody keeps it on the DL in the black community. That's not true anymore. So anyway, why did I get distracted with that? That just lost a lot of people who were with me up till now. See, that's what I do. I just say what's on my mind. So the bottom line is we put posters up in our windows for community events. And they're blocking us from putting posters up and covering our windows with stuff that benefits the community. People love those posters. They find out about stuff via those posters. I see it happen every day. People coming in to ask can we put up these posters? And here's Thomas Crowder going, oh, no, we got to limit that because we don't think it looks aesthetically pleasing. It's like they're crushing the life of the town because of their own personal idea of what's pretty. To me, Carol, I go to a town, you know where I go first? The businesses whose windows are filled with posters about what's happening in town. That's pretty. That's a lively business. That's a lively town. That's how visitors, that's how locals find out about the culture in their own city. All right, so has anybody ever had, Carol, can you show this? Do you mind? Has anybody had any success with this stuff? You know, teaching babies, you know, sign language and stuff? Wait, there's no real pictures of the babies. Oh, this one doesn't have pictures of the babies. Well, there we go. There we go. Baby sign language, right? Has anybody had success with this? And I ask because my cousin Devon has their child they think that has hearing trouble. And so they're trying to figure out what to do next. And so I'm just curious. I've been sending them baby signing books, and I'm going to send them in this one as well. And I'm just wondering, has anybody had success with that? You know, do babies actually respond to this? Does it work? If anybody has, you know, feel free to call the number down there, 996-6775. We're live for the next 20 minutes or so. And just let me know. I'm very curious if anybody's had any success teaching, communicating in direct ways where both parties understand with newborn infants, 3 months old, 4 months old, 5 months old, and sign language, maybe 8 months old. I don't know. I don't know anything about babies. Oh, Carol's got her microphone. It's on the door.
I know, I had to turn the volume on.
Oh, okay. Yes, Carol?
So I know in the autism community, a lot of the kids are nonverbal, and they use some of this simplistic signing to help with frustration and meltdowns and a lot of stuff like that. So
it does work with I know, autistic children.
Therapists use it, so
yeah.
That's...
Okay. I'm just curious if it really works with young infants. If anyone's had success, feel free to call up and tell us. All right. Can we put up the drag bingo? So drag bingo has been going on since 2004, Carol? Over 10 years. Drag queens doing these big bingo events. And when I used to go, 5 to 8 years ago, it was held at the Unitarian Church on Wade Avenue, Wade and Dixie Trail. And there were, maybe 100 people there. Now they're getting thousands of people. And if you go to my Twitter page, I show you where to buy tickets or link. But this Saturday, if you want, no pressure. But this Saturday, they're doing superhero drag bingo at the Care Scott building at the fairgrounds at 7 o'clock. The doors open at like 5:30, and they're doing bingo. Then they have like some kind of little show at 6:30, and then at 7, the bingo and cabaret begins, Carol. Bingo and cabaret. Doesn't that sound like some kind of 70s TV cop show? Bingo and cabaret. They're on the case, man. Bingo and cabaret are on the case. Don't mess with bingo, man, because cabaret is right there ready to take you out. Bingo looks like she's kind of like, a little weak, but bingo and cabaret, don't mess with them. They will solve your crime. So anyway, bingo and cabaret starts at 7, and all the proceeds go to local aid service agencies and 3 local animal shelters, which I think is good, Carol. Because if you got people who don't like the gays, you can get them with the puppies and kitties. So you don't like gays? Go to superhero drag bingo this Saturday at the fairgrounds anyway, and you can help puppies and kitties.
Oh, the lesbians are all about saving some puppies and kittens.
Oh, the lesbians love the puppies and kitties. Oh, well, there you go. So if you've never been, it's a hoot. The drag queen, wonderful woman who hosts it goes by the name of Mary Kmart. A lot of people out there know who I'm talking about. She's often seen at Flex on Thursday nights for their trailer park drag shows where they do giveaways. If you haven't been to the trailer park drag show, girls, bring your straight boyfriends. The drag queens will drag your straight boys up on stage, and you'll have a hoot watching your straight boy look uncomfortable. And all the gays will love it because they'll get him to take off his shirt. So it's great fun Thursday night at Flex. But they don't do that so much with the Bargain Box Junior League ladies at Drag Bingo, but they do a little bit of that from what I've heard. But no, the folks at the Bargain Box just tell me all the time that the drag bingos are a hoot. Nancy at the Bargain Box in particular is just wonderful, and she says there it's fabulous. You should go. So I haven't been in years, so I think I'm going to go this Saturday. Anyway, long story short, we are your finger on the pulse of culture, and I'm telling you that Raleigh, trying to attack small businesses in town, who put more than 50% of their windows covered with posters about stuff that's happening, is really disgusting. All right. Art Pope, number 10 or 11? 11. All right. Good riddance. Art Pope says, he only took the job because he was going to get, to make sure that he was going to leave after a year or so. And he's made sure that his budget passed. One of my coworkers said, well, he got what he paid for. Or in this case, Carol, what he was paid for. Art Pope made sure that last year we passed a budget that slashed taxes on the rich and corporations. Just slashed them. And they had a one-time thing that kind of made up for it a little bit. But that no longer is the case. So the cuts in taxes paid by the rich in North Carolina are continuing, but now we don't have any way to make it up. So the Republicans have created a budget crisis scenario where every year from now on, until we kick the Republicans out of the North Carolina legislature, which is going to be tough, but I think we're going to do it. We're definitely going to kick Pat McCrory out of the governor's office in 2016. The guy didn't have a chance. I'm serious. He really doesn't. Nobody likes him. So anyway, long story short, the Republicans have created a budget crisis situation where North Carolina is always, for the next few years, going to be constantly in debt, constantly struggling to pay its bills, because Art Pope and his pals in the legislature, they've been at loggerheads a little over the last couple of years, but not, fundamentally, they're right there. Cut taxes on the rich and slash spending on the poor. You can't do both of those. They've created a scenario where North Carolina is always going to have trouble for the next few years paying for basic services to its citizens. They've created that. It didn't exist before. Now it does. They've created that. They have no way to make up for the lost revenue from the cuts in taxes on the rich and corporations that they passed a couple years ago. They have no plan for that. And so we're all going to be left struggling with this budget scenario. And this is when, Carol, Art Pope has said, my work here is done, right? I'm leaving, I'm quitting. Art Pope wants to crush government. He's a fundamentalist, right-wing libertarian. I love the left-wing libertarians. There's a lot of overlap with anarchism, the good kind of anarchism, not bomb throwing, but you know what? Let's decentralize power. That's anarchism. Art Pope isn't about that. Art Pope is about centralized private power, which is not, to me, libertarian smart. It's libertarian dumb. It's libertarian with blinkers on. Oh, centralized government power is bad. Centralized private power? What? I'm sorry, is there a problem there? Right? This is why we don't have individual solar panels on people's roofs in North Carolina, because that would hurt private centralized power, Duke Energy. Why is the government protecting Duke Energy's profits? Oh, because centralized private power that gives money to the government is fine. Decentralization is the way to go. That's true libertarianism. Truly independent, decentralized power. To me, that's libertarianism. Overlaps with anarchism, the good kind of anarchism, really clearly. Art Pope has created a crisis scenario for the next 5 years in North Carolina politics. He's created a budget scenario, him and his pals in the legislature have created a scenario where North Carolina is constantly going to have to struggle to provide basic services to poor people. And what are they doing? They're going to find more ways to hurt the poor. How did they do it? By cutting taxes and giving a tax benefit to the rich. And at that point, Art Pope has now said, I'm done. Thank you, guys. Great. I'm out. I think good riddance to bad rubbish is the best thing we can think about this. Meanwhile, the governor, Mr. McCrory, is like, put your stupid hat on. That's McCrory, right? McCrory is telling one thing to the national press while he refuses to say the same things here in North Carolina. He actually had the gall to tell the Washington Post that, well, we're looking at the Medicaid thing. Remember when the Republican legislature denied Medicaid expansion that would have given hundreds of thousands of people health insurance and benefits in North Carolina? And it's hurting hospitals. Hospitals are suffering because of this. In every state where fundamentalist Republicans have refused to expand Medicaid, hospitals are now hurting more than in states where they've taken the federal dollars and expanded Medicaid. McCrory is telling the Washington Post up there in D.C., yeah, we're looking at, we're thinking about that. He's positioning himself for a run at higher office as a moderate. He's trying, while he's doing nothing to stem the tide and actively encouraging the far right-wing Republicans in control of the House and Senate here in North Carolina, he's trying at the other side of his mouth to tell the Washington Post, no, I'm really a moderate, you see. We're thinking about the Medicaid thing. There's not a chance in hell. Even if Pat McCrory really thought that expanding Medicaid was the right thing to do because it would give more people access to affordable health care, even if he wasn't an immoral jackass, our governor, he couldn't get it through the legislature. So he's not even trying. He doesn't say that here in North Carolina. Pat McCrory won't go to the News and Observer, well, or the Charlotte Observer, I'm really thinking about, let's try to talk about, expanding Medicaid. We're going to look at that again. He couldn't get it through Tom Tillis and Phil Berger if his life depended on it. And the far right-wing lunatics in the Republican Party in North Carolina right now, the idea of taking federal dollars that the state doesn't have to do anything with and expanding that so that more poor people have access to health care that saves us in the long run so that they don't end up in the emergency room costing everybody more, it's a no freaking brainer. And yet, the Republicans won't touch that. Pat McCrory won't make that case to the News and Observer, won't make that case to the Charlotte Observer, Wilmington Star-Herald or Star-Ledger, the Herald, what's the newspaper in Wilmington, Star something? The Winston-Salem paper, none of them. But he'll say it to the Washington Post far away, right? Yeah, we're looking at that because he's trying to paint himself as a moderate. Art Pope's not gone. He's still pulling the strings. He's trying to position Pat McCrory, his little puppet, for Senate office. Don't believe the hype. We believe that, Carol. A lot of people believed it when McCrory ran for governor on that. Oh, I'm really a moderate. And he had this semi-moderate track record in Charlotte. Well, we've seen just how moderate Pat McCrory is. He's not a moderate. He's a far-right fundamentalist lunatic, just like the rest of the Republican Party in North Carolina, right? But he'll mealy-mouthed say to the Washington Post, yeah, we're thinking about that, knowing that they don't really know or won't challenge him on the facts on the ground in North Carolina, which is, Pat McCrory, up yours, you're not touching Medicaid. You wouldn't even have the gall. I wish he would. I'd support him in a heartbeat. I'd even promise to vote for him the same way he promised, Carol, to not support any restrictions on abortion. Yeah, Pat, I promise I'll vote for you if you actually work to expand Medicaid in North Carolina. Yeah, like you promised, Pat. Promised. All right, let's move on, shall we? Pat McCrory's talking out of this side of his mouth in North Carolina, and that's his real side. And then for national office, he's talking out of this side of his mouth up there talking to the D.C. media, right? The national media. Put Pat McCrory on TV. Watch how moderate he becomes. He's a complete ineffectual piece of crap, our governor. He can't get anything done that he wants, right? It's pathetic. And thank God, it seems pretty obvious that Pat McCrory is going to be a one-term governor. Thank God that's going to happen. All right. I don't know. Did we have a phone call? No. Oh, man. All right. Well, Carol, should we talk about Hopscotch? Let's talk about Hopscotch. Hopscotch, the three-day festival is coming up a month from now. First week in September, 4th through 6th. A couple kids came to the store, Carol, And we're looking at the posters for events happening, and I overheard them as I was putting books on the outside shelves. We have these diamond quarter shelves outside that we leave open all night that, we donate that to public radio. And the kids were out there as I was restocking it, and they're talking about, oh yeah, have you heard about this Hopscotch Festival? And one of them says to the other four, yeah, but man, have you heard how expensive that is? These were maybe kids who were 19, 20, 21. Yeah, have you heard how expensive? It's like $150 to get a 3-day pass. And they're all like, oh man. And immediately they just dismiss the idea of attending Hopscotch, right? And me, in my infinite benevolence, Carol, I mean, really, you don't see it on the show so much. But I am a very kind and benevolent person. Okay, maybe you don't see it if you know me in my life so much either. But I promise you, deep inside me is this core of loving, kind benevolence that struggles to get past the layers of crap, solidified bricks that prevent that me from, actually being me in the world. Okay, that's my excuse. But I was very benevolent, and I happened to wander by and said, oh, I heard you guys talking about Hopscotch. And they said, yeah. And I'd be like, well, it's a lot of fun. I said, did you know they have these free day parties? And their little teenage years, or 22-year-old years. Can you tell the difference between 17 and 22 anymore, Carol? Not anymore. It happens. 17, 22. Eeny, meeny, miny, miny. It's hard to tell anymore. It's just one of the hazards of long wisdom on this earth. Kids, you'll get there too. So anyway, I'm guessing they were 20, 22. And I'm not just saying that because a couple of them were cute, Carol. I'm not just saying that. Maybe one was 17. So I said, have you heard about these free day parties? And they're like, what? What are you talking about? See, Hopscotch is really great, and if you can afford it, you should buy a ticket. I had so much fun. It's not all loud noise. I had so much fun last year doing, going around to the quieter things. One old 60-year-old black man on a keyboard doing spacey, weird, abstract vocals. Oh, Lonnie, he was amazing. Beautiful Bachman, Daniel Bachman, I think his name is, beautiful fingerstyle guitar in a church downtown for Hopscotch. If you're an older person who avoids Hopscotch because you think all it is the hyped hip hop and main stage and loud rock, don't do that to yourself. You can put together, I should do an old person's guide to Hopscotch this year, Carol. You can put together an old folks guide to Hopscotch where all you will hear is amazing, quiet, intimate music. I saw some amazing shows from a duo from Barcelona who were in the basement of the 2 minutes, in the basement below where the symphony is, the Progress Energy Center there, right? Well, now Duke Energy Center, whatever.
How do you find out where the free stuff is?
All right, the day parties are free. If you can get off work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they have day parties where bands and labels take over a bar during the day and provide a free show. And kids, the day parties, if you can't afford a Hopscotch ticket, the day parties will expose you to a lot of the same bands that mofos are paying $150 for a 3-day pass for, in a smaller, more intimate setting with the sun shining down or the rain drenching you, whatever you prefer. The day parties are great. I know Hopscotch wants people to buy tickets, and anyone who can afford a ticket should get the 3-day pass. No problem. But if you're not going to Hopscotch because A, you think it's too loud, you're making a mistake, or B, you think it's too expensive, you're making a mistake. The free day parties are amazing. And Grayson and the indie folks, I hope you'll forgive me for encouraging those people like those kids in front of our store last week who were like, oh man, you heard how expensive that is? That's $150 for a 3-day pass. And those kids go, pfft. I stopped them. I said, every day of Hopscotch, there's free concerts throughout the day. That's all I'm gonna say. And tell people about that. It's worth it. And then next year, maybe some of those people will buy a ticket when they get a job. Those kids, those young kids, get a job. 15 seconds. We haven't even talked about Israel. Oh, man, Israel's morally repulsive right now. The behavior of the right-wing Israeli government, morally repulsive. And thank God everybody's forgetting or noticing it.